come to the realization that the reason why the majority of podcasters stay stuck is because they're living in denial. And I mean this with all love and respect in my heart. Most of you who are struggling to grow your podcast right now, if you're a business owner or an expert, the reason why you're stuck with your podcast is because you keep being in limbo, in denial of what you truly want. I had a call the other day with this lady who has been podcasting for over 12 months and she was barely getting 30 listens per episode. Now for her, she was saying how, it's a hobby. And then she's like, oh no, it's part of my business. And I was like, hey, look, is this actually a hobby for you that you're doing just for fun? If so, stop worrying about the listenership. Stop worrying about the downloads. Stop worrying about how much money you're making from it. Stop worrying about the fact that you're spending 5 hours plus per week, maybe 10 hours plus per week, invested into the podcast where you're not growing and you're not getting a return, because if it's a hobby, you're doing it for fun. And that's okay, and that's totally fine. But this is where the sneaky denial piece comes in, because I truly believe that if you're having those feelings where you're looking at your numbers and you're frustrated, you feel like speaking to an empty void, deep inside of you, you kind of have this enthusiasm is waning because the results you're getting aren't improving, they're actually getting worse. And you start to question, hey, is this even worth my time? Is this even worth the energy? Is this even worth me even continuing? If those thoughts are popping into your head, then to me, that's a massive sign that you're living in denial and trying to convince yourself that the podcast is still a hobby. Maybe the podcast started off as a hobby, but somewhere along the way, consciously or unconsciously, you made a switch that you wanted more from the podcast. But the issue is your behavior never changed. You started the podcast as a hobby and you did it for fun and it was great. But then you got to a point, maybe 6 months in, maybe a year in, when you realize hang on a second, I'm investing all of this time, all of this energy. And whilst this is fun, I would actually like to grow way more from it. But you never then made the switch of how you operated, going from a hobbyist to a business owner, meaning going from just posting content for posting content's sake, to actually taking this seriously, turning pro, looking at your analytics, figuring out who do I want to tag on my podcast, what content can I cover on the show to attract the right listeners. It's because you're living in denial and haven't fully accepted that the podcast is no longer a hobby and is now actually something more. And until you accept that and stop living in denial and start taking actions that are actually in alignment with the future you want, you'll keep struggling to grow. I can promise you that.